Explanation of the book, Anatomy of a Breakthrough, How to Overcome Stumbling When It Matters, by Adam Alter, with an analysis of each chapter and a review of all examples and strategies. Introduction to the book. Why do we feel stuck? What is stagnation? At the beginning of his book, Adam Alter discusses the concept of stagnation, which is a mental and behavioral state in which a person feels unable to progress, whether in his professional, personal, or creative life. Stagnation may result from fear of failure, lack of clarity of purpose, the environment around us, or habits that limit us. Alter believes that feeling stuck is normal, and everyone goes through it at different stages of their lives. But the difference between people who achieve great breakthroughs and those who remain stuck is that the former know how to get out of this stagnation using specific strategies. Chapter 1. The Cycle of Stagnation. How and why do we stumble? Adam Alter explains that inertia is not just a coincidence, but rather a natural outcome of a psychological and behavioral cycle that we all go through. At stages of inertia. 1. Stage 1, initial enthusiasm. When we start a new project or goal, we feel very excited. We have positive energy and a desire to work. Word 2. Stage 2, facing the first challenges. Problems and obstacles start to appear. We feel frustrated when we don't see immediate results. 3. Stage 3, self-doubt. The mind starts to wonder, am I good enough? Why am I not making progress? This is where inertia sets in if it is not addressed. 4. Stage 4, stopping or quitting. Many people stop at this point. Some start putting off work or abandon the project altogether. Why does inertia happen? The brain hates change. We tend to rest and repeat rather than take risks. Society reinforces the idea of quick success, making failure seem catastrophic. Chapter 2. Reviewing friction. Why is it so hard for us to progress? The concept of friction. Alter introduces the idea of friction, which is anything that hinders your progress or makes you feel resistance while working toward your goal. Friction can be external, such as your work environment, or internal, such as fear of failure. Types of friction. 1. Emotional friction. Fear of failure or criticism. Lack of self-confidence. Feeling guilty for not progressing quickly. 2. Environmental friction. Working in a place full of distractions. Not having the right tools for the job. Reliance on the internet and social media. 3. Cognitive friction. Too much information makes decisions difficult. Not knowing where to start. How to reduce friction? Identify your primary source of friction. So, make environmental changes that help you work easily. Stop striving for perfection and start with what you have now. Chapter 3. The Importance of Action Before Motivation. The misconception. I have to feel motivated first. Many people think they have to wait for the moment of inspiration before they start. But Alter emphasizes that action generates motivation, not the other way around. How to get started even if you don't feel motivated. 1. The 2-minute technique. Start with a very small task that takes only 2 minutes. This gets you into the action without resistance. 2. Public commitment. Tell others about your goal, which makes you feel accountable for achieving it. 3. Change your environment. Make it easy to get started by removing distractions. Chapter 4. Building momentum. Psychological momentum is the feeling that you are making progress, which increases your desire to continue. How to build momentum. 1. Start with the easiest thing possible. 2. Create small checkpoints to celebrate. 3. Use the power of repetition. The more you practice something, the easier it becomes. Chapter 5. Stepping out of your comfort zone. Alter argues that staying in your comfort zone is the root cause of stagnation. How to step out of your comfort zone. 1. Start with small, uncomfortable experiences. 2. Face a little embarrassment every day. 3. Add positive challenges to your daily routine. Chapter 6. Dealing with rejection and frustration. Rejection is part of any journey to success. Alter explains that successful people have learned how to use rejection to their advantage. How to deal with rejection. 1. Understand that rejection isn't personal. It's part of the process. 2. Treat every rejection as an opportunity to improve. 3. Learn from people who were initially rejected and later succeeded. Chapter 7. Reaching the breakthrough moment. A breakthrough doesn't happen suddenly, but rather is the result of several small steps that accumulate over time. How do you reach the breakthrough moment? Keep going even when you don't see clear results. Make small but consistent changes. Be patient, because most successes come after a long period of fruitless attempts. Conclusion: how to design a life of breakthroughs. Alter believes that anyone can engineer breakthroughs in their life if they understand how to eliminate friction and take small but frequent steps toward progress. Success is not a matter of luck, but rather a matter of repetition, patience, and facing fears. Key lessons from the book. Action breeds motivation, not the other way around. Friction is the greatest enemy of progress, and it must be minimized. Stepping out of your comfort zone is essential for growth. Rejection is a natural part of the journey to success. Breakthroughs don't happen suddenly, but are the result of thoughtful strategies. Final word. This book is a practical guide for anyone who feels stuck, whether at work, in school, or in achieving their goals. It lays out a clear roadmap to get out of the slump and reach the critical breakthrough moment. The book, Anatomy of Breakthrough, is full of real-life examples and inspiring stories that illustrate how people can overcome inertia and achieve major breakthroughs in their lives. I will share with you some of the most prominent of these stories, with a detailed analysis of how they relate to the concepts of the book. 1. The story of J.K. Rowling and the 12 rejections of Harry Potter. Inertia, repeated failure and rejection. Before J.K. Rowling became one of the most successful writers in the world, she was in a tragic situation. She was a single mother with no job, living on government assistance. She finished writing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but was rejected by publishers 12 times. How did she break out of inertia? She didn't give in to rejection, but continued to send her manuscript until a small publisher, Bloomsbury, accepted it. She didn't wait to feel motivated, but forced herself to write daily. She used rejection as fuel to keep going instead of giving up. Lesson learned. Major breakthroughs come after intense resistance and repeated rejection. Instead of seeing rejection as an obstacle, it can be used as motivation. Hence, 2. Michael Jordan's story and his failure on the school team. Stagnation, feeling of inadequacy. When Michael Jordan was in high school, he was cut from the basketball team because he wasn't tall enough and wasn't performing well. This moment was a huge blow to his psyche and almost made him give up. How did he break out of the stagnation? Instead of giving up, he started practicing every day without exception. He used rejection as motivation to prove himself. He didn't focus on the outcome alone, but on the daily process of improvement. Lesson learned. Rejection is not the end of the road, but the beginning of improvement. Building mental momentum through daily practice leads to major breakthroughs. Day 3. The story of Thomas Edison and 1,000 failed experiments. Stagnation, failed attempts that seem useless. Thomas Edison was working on inventing the light bulb, but he failed more than 1,000 times before he finally succeeded. How did he get out of the stagnation? He did not consider failure a loss, but rather necessary experiments to reach success. He constantly made small adjustments, instead of seeking the big leap. He believed that every failed attempt brought him a step closer to the right solution. Lesson learned. Success is not a single moment, but the result of a continuous accumulation of attempts. Continuous small adjustments are the key to major breakthroughs. 4. The story of Howard Schultz, who was rejected 242 times. Stagnation. Investors rejected his project. When Howard Schultz wanted to transform Starbucks from a small coffee shop to a global brand, he tried to convince investors to fund his idea, but he was rejected 242 times. How did he get out of the stagnation? He continued to promote his idea until he found an investor who trusted him. He didn't take rejection personally, but rather saw it as evidence that his idea needed to be modified and improved. He focused on adapting to the market instead of giving in to the initial rejection. Lesson learned. Sometimes a breakthrough requires more than just a good idea, but a lot of patience. Rejection doesn't mean that the idea is bad. It may be an indication that the way it is presented needs to be improved. 5. Stephen King's story of throwing the manuscript of Carrie in the trash. Stagnation. Losing self-confidence. The famous writer Stephen King wrote his first novel, Carrie, but he wasn't satisfied with it, so he threw it in the trash. How did he get out of the stagnation? His wife retrieved the manuscript and encouraged him to send it to publishers. After several rejections, the novel was accepted and became his launching pad towards global success. Lesson learned. Sometimes we are our own biggest enemies, and we need to trust our work more. Motivation can come from others when we lack it within ourselves. Final analysis of the stories and their relationship to the concepts of the book. What do all these stories have in common? 1. Every character suffered from a fatal stagnation at some point. 2. Every story included rejection, failure, or deep frustration. 3. Breakthrough came as a result of persistence, not as a result of luck or genius. 4. Successful characters did not wait to feel motivated, but rather created an environment that forced them to continue. How can you apply these lessons to your life? Don't stop at the first or 10th rejection, as success requires a lot of patience. Don't rely on emotional motivation, but focus on daily habits that lead you towards breakthrough. If you feel like you're not making progress, think about small adjustments instead of huge changes. Work even when you don't feel inspired, as success comes with repeated work. Final word. The stories in the book prove that success is not a fluke, but rather the result of a continuous process of learning, failure, and adaptation. If you feel stuck now, remember that every successful person today was once stuck. The only difference is that they kept trying until they reached their big breakthrough.